All right, so if you'd like to learn about buying your first investment real estate property here on the Central Coast, you've come to the right video. I'll share my perspective as a real estate broker helping investors buy and sell investment properties here on the Central Coast of California. And I want to help you avoid pitfalls and help you set yourself up for success so you can achieve your goals and live the kind of lifestyle that you want to achieve. If it's your first time, welcome. If it's your second or third time, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. It supports the channel and really means a lot. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about buying your first investment real estate property here on the Central Coast. All right, so I think the first thing that you need to keep in mind is starting with the end in mind and also know your strengths, right? So starting with the end in mind, what kind of lifestyle do you want to lead? And I'll tell you a little story. I've worked with a lot of investors, and I've worked with some that are, the 50s and 60s, and I think if they took some time initially to think more about what they would like their lifestyle to look like in their 50s and 60s after being investors for 10, 20, 30 years, I think they might be in a better place now. So I think it's really important to take the time, think about the end, and if you have a spouse or if you have children, dialoguing with them so you have open communication on taking a look at that lifestyle and how you'd like to create it. So I think first thing, start with the end in mind, because there are lots of vehicles in investment real estate that can take you to your goals, and it's important to get into the right vehicle and think about the kind of time and the lifestyle you want to have and the time you want to spend on your investments, and think about that now so that in the future 10, 20, 30 years, when you've achieved those goals of yours, you've achieved the right goals. So some helpful tips when you're thinking about how to set your goals when it comes to what kind of investment vehicle you want to get into in real estate is think about your time and your strengths, right? So if you want to spend a lot more time, then you might want to do something like being a fix and flipper, renovating a house, fixing it up, or maybe you want to buy a house that you live in and making it nicer and bigger, or maybe you want to buy an apartment building, a triplex, and then buy an apartment building, an eightplex down the road. Maybe you want an Airbnb and you really love that aspect of hospitality and you want to give a great experience for your guests, and you don't want to deal with long-term tenants and you just want to focus on short-term tenants and giving them a great experience. Well, all of those are different vehicles that you can get into, and so you think about that, your time that you have. Maybe you have a full-time job, maybe you've got some children, maybe you have a spouse. Think about what time you have to dedicate towards this, and then also what you want your lifestyle to look like and what your strengths are. Maybe great as a landlord, collecting that passive rent and buying an apartment building and then fixing it up, increasing rents, and then buy a larger apartment building. Or maybe you're geared more towards the hospitality, you want to get an Airbnb. So think about that, think about where your strengths are, and that I think will help you determine where you want to end up and where you should start. So as a real estate investor, especially when you're buying your first property, it's important to think about the tools and what you have at your disposal to help you build wealth. So the first one that's important to think about if you are living in a property would be a homeowner's exemption. So let's take a look at the definition here so you know what kind of tools you have, what kind of strategies you can employ to build wealth. So the first one, homeowner's exemption. If you have a capital gain from the sale of your main home, you may qualify to exclude up to $250,000 of that gain from your income, or up to $500,000 of that gain if you file a joint return with your spouse. And so what's important to realize is you need to live in that primary residence 2 out of the last 5 years for it to qualify for the homeowner exemption. But that's a powerful tool at your disposal when you are thinking about being a real estate investor. The second one is the 1031 exchange, and that is a great tool to be aware of if you're not aware of it already. Whenever you sell business or investment property and you have a gain, you generally have to pay tax on that gain at the time of sale. IRC Section 1031 provides an exception and allows you to postpone paying tax on the gain if you reinvest the proceeds in similar property as part of a qualifying like-kind exchange. Gain deferred in a like-kind exchange under IRC Section 1031 is tax deferred, but not tax-free. So those two components, the homeowner exemption and also the 1031, are important tools to have in your toolbox as a real estate investor. Now that we've talked a little bit about where you want to get to, right? You're talking about the end in mind and what kind of tools you have to get there. Let's go ahead and talk about determining what you need to have as a team when you are looking to buy your first investment property. So you're going to need to have a mentor. I really recommend this to first-time investors. Have somebody who is an investor, who is able to walk you through what they've done, how they've built their wealth, and try and talk to somebody who you look up to, that you respect. If you would like to talk to some of the investors I have and potentially have them as mentors, feel free to reach out. But it's a good idea to have a mentor. Good idea to have a property manager, even if you self-manage, or at least somebody that you can dialogue with, and eventually you may want to have a property manager. So property manager relationship building, I think, is important. Contractor or handyman, of course, there's going to be some repairs. Maybe you need to do some significant renovations for your property. Make sure you've got a good contractor that you trust. Also, I think it's important to have a CPA and a financial advisor that specifically can help you when it comes to real estate investing. Also, I think it's important to have a good attorney when you are working in real estate and you are making sure that you follow the laws, right? You may have some altercations with tenants, or you may have some questions. It's important to have an attorney that you can talk to. And of course, having a good real estate broker who focuses on investment real estate, I think, is very critical. If you'd like to talk to my team about that and what we can do to help you, feel free to reach out. But if you've got a broker that you're already working with, that's an important component to have. Somebody who really is an investor, broker, and not just a regular residential or condo real estate agent. So it's important to have people on your team to help you get to your goals. And this is a short little list of some people that I think would be critical to have on your team that you should build relationships with starting now, even if you haven't bought real estate yet. So let's talk a little bit about budget. So I'm just going to assume that you do have a full-time job and that you have income coming in from that job. Maybe you have a spouse and you both work, so you've got income coming in. You've got a down payment, maybe the sale of a business, maybe just money that you've saved up, maybe from an inheritance. Whatever it is, let's talk about what kind of money you're going to need. So if you are looking to, say, buy a house, live in it, renovate it, add value, add equity, then you're going to need, between 5 to 15%, let's say, for a down payment. You're going to have significant amount for renovation costs. So that's a good opportunity to talk with your contractor. So let's say if the median price here on the Central Coast is around $800,000, if you're looking at 15%, probably going to be needing about $120,000 to put down, plus some for renovations. So that's an important something to keep in mind when you're budgeting out your first investment property. If you are living in it, maybe you are buying a triplex or a duplex, you're going to typically need that 15 to 25% down. So make sure that you have that down payment and that you have some reserves for any kind of renovations. If you're looking to buy solely an investment property, typically you're going to need between 25 and 30% down for that property. So it's important to talk with a mortgage broker about that, what your specific budget is. But I always recommend having a little bit more to cushion in case there are some repairs or some unexpected remodel projects that need to come up. And so again, talking about the end in mind, if you are, say, looking to be a fix and flipper, you're going to have a lot more as far as your down payment. Or you may go for a hard money loan, but it's important that you have that in mind, right? And so if you're buying, let's say, a duplex or a quadplex, and you're living in one, you're going to have less down payment. But it's important to figure out what your budget is based on what kind of property you're looking to buy. If it's an Airbnb, maybe it's a really nice property, you're going to need to have a different down payment versus a triplex. Again, if you're living in it, you're going to have a different down payment, different budget, and let's say you're renovating it and you're taking advantage of that homeowner's exemption. So making sure that you've got a clear budget, not only for your down payment, but also for the remodel costs, working with your mortgage broker, and also working with your contractor on that is very critical if you're starting out to buy your first investment property. So let's talk about location. So if you are living in Atascadero, I'd recommend purchasing an investment property in Atascadero or Templeton or maybe Santa Margarita, something that's close by. Real estate's a physical asset, so it's not like a stock. So I recommend for your first one especially to be close by. If you're in Paso Robles, purchase in Paso Robles, purchase in an area that you know. Make sure that you've done your due diligence about that area. You've got a clear idea as far as those rents are concerned. If you are buying in order to rent it out, or if you're looking to Airbnb, make sure you have the knowledge so that you can be confident in your decision and putting out offers. If you live in Arroyo Grande or Napomo, for example, I would buy in areas that you're familiar with. Again, real estate is a physical component, a physical asset, so you want to be close by your asset so you can physically be there, physically know the area, and I think that's going to be a really good strategy if you are buying for the first time. So there you go, buying your first investment property, giving you some tips so that you can have success in that. We talked a little bit about how to determine what kind of properties you should buy based on thinking about the end in mind. Right? Think about the lifestyle that you would like to lead and then work backward from there. Budget and how to budget out. So talk to your contractor, talk to your mortgage broker, make sure you've got a clear idea of what repairs are going to cost, what remodels are going to cost. So end in mind, your budget, the team that you need to have, and making sure you pick a location that's close to you. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you'd like to reach out and discuss your needs on a tailored to you real estate investment plan, we'd love to help you out. So reach out, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.